What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second episode here on Tide Drives. My name is Tyler behind the camera, and today we have a very special car for you guys. It's 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63S sedan. So in this video, we're going to take a walk around the outside, then we're going to move to under the engine bay, check out what's in the trunk, the rear seats, and finally move to the front seats. And at the end of the video, we're going to give you an awesome POV drive where I'm going to strap the GoPro to my head and we're going to see what it's like to drive this beast. But enough of that, let's get right into the features, and we're going to start out front with the headlamps. Now you have full LED units for the E-Class, obviously. LED turn signals, high and low beams, all that good stuff, all LED up front. We have some pretty large air dams. You could see the smaller intercoolers off to each side of the large air intakes out front. Very nice single bar grille with the giant Mercedes-Benz emblem. You also have the front camera. You have front parking sensors. Nice AMG logo. Pretty aggressive yet classy front end for the E63. Taking a look at the hood, we have a nice long sort of sloping hood with some subtle creases on the inside, and we have these beautiful multicolored 20-inch alloy wheels. Very reminiscent of lots of AMG models with this wheel, and pretty large tires too. 265, 35 out front, and a little bit wider in the back. We have these beautiful, very large calipers and equally as large discs up front. I have some badging on the fender over there with the V8 bi-turbo 4MATIC Plus. We have the black package too, so all the window surrounds, and you'll see some black elements on this car all the way around it. Switch around, you can see a blind spot on the mirror, the turn signal, and there's also a camera underneath there for the 360 view. You have your standard keyless go system on all four of the door handles. And back here you could see tires are a little bit wider back here, 295/30. Very classy yet aggressive rear profile of this car too, and pay special attention to the rear lamps when they're on. They have this kind of like sparkle to them. It's really neat. Obviously full LEDs back here. AMG badging all across. We have the E63 badging back here too. Now, surprisingly enough, the rear view camera is actually hidden, so it kind of pops out of this little cap here. You have the trunk release, parking sensors back here too, and the AMG quad exhaust with a nice black diffuser. Now, obviously the E-Class comes in quite a few different variations, but for this video we're going to just focus on the E63. And that means under the hood we have a 603 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque, 4-liter twin-turbo V8 monster. Super powerful engine. You can see you got the hot V with the two turbos right on top and in the center of the V. Gives you better response time from the turbos, kind of eliminates turbo lag. And as all of you guys should know, each AMG engine is built by one single technician at the factory. Very neat, and pretty neat engine bay too. Obviously you got the engine cover covering most of it, but you can make out a little bit of the valve covers, I guess, on the side. Alrighty, so starting off with the trunk, you can pop it open by just pressing the button underneath the Mercedes star. There's a couple of ways you could pop the trunk too, just that's the easiest way. And it's a full power trunk. As you can see, it's very large inside. The E-Class is a very nicely sized car. You have things like grocery bag hangers and extensions off to the side, tie down points as well. And you also have handles here to fold down the rear seats, lift up the cargo floor. We have some things like your auxiliary air tank for the suspension and your battery. To close the trunk, we have a couple of buttons. One to close the trunk and one to close the trunk and lock the vehicle. And next we could hop into the rear. Obviously we have a full black interior on this car, full leather. So we have leather from here to here. Beautiful stitching, beautiful wood. We also have a nice shade that pulls up over there. Heated seats for the rear, couple of speakers on the door. Very nice looking rear door. Hop in quick. Now the front seat is adjusted to a comfortable driving position for myself, and I am 5'10", so as you can see, plenty of room back here. Again, the E-Class is a very nicely sized car. The only thing I'm kind of surprised about back here is there's no controls for the rear climate. So that's kind of strange to me. You have a couple of air vents back here that you can turn on and off, but that's about it. If you open this little tray here, you have a plug and a 12-volt power outlet. You also have mat pockets on the rear of the front seat. If you fold this down, you have a nice armrest. And there's a little bit of storage, as you can see, and two individual cup holders. You also have the panoramic sunroof that's segmented into two separate pieces. Looks very nice while it's open. One more thing I'd like to point out is this car also has soft closed doors. So if you fail to close it all the way like I did there, it'll just pull the door shut. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the front seats. So again, same materials as up front, very similar design, just a lot more buttons. Mercedes-Benz has all the seat controls on the door. You have 3-person memory, heated, cooled seats up there too. And if in case you're wondering what this button is right here, it's got a little seat with the R that actually allows you to adjust the passenger seat, the front passenger seat, from the driver's seat. So it then turns all of these controls into controlling the front passenger seat. So pretty interesting. I'm not sure why you would want to do that, but the option is there to do so if you'd like. You have all of your window controls up here, mirror adjustments, and a trunk release down below. Left of the dash, you have air vent, some various driver's assistance functions that you could turn on and off. You have your heads-up display controls, rear sunshade, you could put that up and down. And you also have a quick button at the end to lift your air suspension in case you're going over a pretty tall curb that you'd like to clear. Headlights, gauge dimmer, electronic parking brake is over here. And we have our nice pedals. And as you can see up there, your hood release is color-coded in red so that you can see a little bit better. And your nice AMG side sills. And quite the beautiful seats here. Beautiful use of materials. So very soft leather, and then you also have drilled leather. Back to the soft leather, and then you also have some microfiber, which is very nice. Also very, very heavily side bolstered seats. And you can customize it, but I find that even on the lowest setting, they hug you in very, very nicely. And I'm not too big of a guy. I'm about 150 pounds, so. Alrighty, so here goes the key fob for the vehicle. Pretty nice new style Mercedes-Benz keys. You have the lock, unlock, panic alarm, trunk release. Nice AMG logo at the front and on the back. And you have a little button to release the physical key. But very nice key fob for the car. You obviously have push button start. Buttons right over here. And take a listen to that. Now getting straight into it, we're going to discuss some of the features on the inside. We're not going to get too in-depth with the screen and everything else because this video would just take a long time and I really want you guys to see what it's like to drive this car. Now, a few key things to point out on the steering wheel. We have these touch pads on the steering wheel that control both the gauges for this side and the infotainment for this side. So we can swipe like so. As you can see, the informations in the two side displays will change. You could swipe over to control the right screen as well. And there's a couple of different display modes you can have. This is kind of like the AMG display mode. You can get more of a traditional setup, so like attack on this side and speedometer on this side. But pretty darn configurable display. You can also pull up the navigation up here and stuff as well. So pretty cool display, and we'll see what we can leave the boost horsepower and real-time torque gauge up for the drive. You can see you also have a little V8 moniker right there, and that tells you if you're in 4-cylinder mode or 8-cylinder mode, since this car has cylinder deactivation. Now on the back side of the steering wheel, you have these beautiful metal paddle shifters. Sounds very nice when you click it into gear. Wiper, stalk, and turn signals are over here. You have this little nub right here to control the tilt telescoping steering wheel, and your adaptive cruise control right on the bottom. You also have the gear selector for the 9-speed automatic. So we have park at the end right here with the metal button. You just press it in, go up for reverse, and that's where you can see all of your different camera views. So we have the rear view, a wide angle rear view, the front tires so you don't curb your wheels, and a top down, a normal front view, and a wide angle front view. So that's pretty cool. We have neutrals, kind of like a half click down, and then drive is like all the way down. And then again, park is right at the end. Beautiful upper dash with some nice stitching and leather work as well. And then we get down to this screen. So again, I'm not going to get too in depth with the screen, but there are 3 different ways you could actually control it. So one is here, like I showed you earlier. The other is just swiping and touching on this touchpad, and the other is using this sort of dial in the center. And you have some various controls around the dial and on the touchpad, such as your home or your back screen. But this is kind of your home screen right here, and there's a couple things I wanted to point out so that you can see your navigation map, and on the side you can input your destinations. You go back, you have the radio, media, phone screen, and your vehicle screen. So there's a couple things I wanted to point out in here. And there's a few more seat controls on this, so you can control the driver passenger seat. You can activate your massage, the dynamic seat, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically if you go around the corner, the side bolsters will kind of hug you in so you don't move around too much in the seats. Control your lumbar and the side bolsters. So pretty cool there. You have your dynamic selection, so pretty much has to do with some vehicle data. So, you know, again, a real-time horsepower, torque reading, and then this one, as you can see, is your tire pressures. You can also pull up some dynamic data, which is pretty neat. It'll show your G-force, and then again, same as in the gauges, with your real-time horsepower, pound-feet of torque, and boost. Really cool performance pages in this car. You have your track pace settings, so it kind of gives you a mapping of a couple of tracks throughout the world, and it'll track your time and everything. You could also set up drag races, and you can also record your own track. So say if you go up to Lime Rock isn't embedded in this system, you can actually the car will track you going around the track and then kind of program it in to the vehicle. Now going to the light settings, you could see a little bit, even in the daytime, you could see the ambient lighting on. So it's a very bright system, tons of colors that you could choose from as well. So really cool ambient lighting. And then we also have our system settings. So that pretty much does it for this screen here. We'll go to the dynamic select, and we'll go to the engine data screen. So we can leave that up for our test drive. You can kind of glance over and see how much power and torque is going through the vehicle at the specific time. Beautiful array of air vents there. You can turn them on and off with these knobs. Physical climate control buttons, so you have temperatures at either side, and then where the air comes out, fan speed, and an automatic, and then your defrosters, recirculating, and all that good stuff. You have a menu screen right there, so you can pop up the climate control on the menu. shortcuts for the screen up there, the car menu. Beautiful clock, by the way, really quite nice, and I like the attention to detail with a real analog clock in any car. It just kind of gives it a bit of class to the interior. You have a couple of cup holders, a little storage tray, a wireless charging pad, and a USB inlet. And there's a couple of buttons down here that I like to explain. You, for one, have your driving mode here. And during the driving video, we're going to bounce back and forth between Comfort and Sport Plus. So I'll let you know when we change. And then you also have a button right here to put the transmission into manual mode. Suspension, you could change the different modes for suspension there. Traction control off. Make the exhaust quieter or louder. Obviously we want it nice and loud. And we can also shut off the auto start stop and bring up the camera system, and the audio volume is right there on this little roller screen. A nice center console that opens up. You have a couple of USB and SD card connections in there. Moving our way to the lockable glove box, we have plenty of room inside. As you can see, it's illuminated and some nice soft plastic on the inside. We also have our day and night mode mirror, which is auto dimming, and you also have your garage door home links up there too. And up on the center console we have various lighting controls, emergency controls, SOS, and all that good stuff. Then we also have our sunroof control right at the front, and as you can see, once you open it up, you get a nice amount of light into the cabin, and kind of both the sunshades open simultaneously gives it a really good look. And it definitely airs up the cabin quite a bit. We have two visors, so one that you could extend to the side and one that you could extend down, of course with a mirror and light. And you also do have grab handles for all 4 passengers. But that's enough of me blabbing on about all the features of this car. Let's get on to what we really clicked on this video for, and that is time to strap a GoPro onto my head and drive this beast. Alrighty, setting off in the E63S. Now this is a car, if you're a car guy, you have to drive one of these things. We're gonna start off in the comfort mode, and then we'll kind of switch to Sport Plus when we go to the back road section. I just want to give you guys a listen to what this car sounds like in comfort mode, because it's actually nice and quiet, pretty subdued. Obviously all you can hear right now is all the sand getting picked up from these sticky tires. But right here is a good place to test out the turning circle. So let's see how it performs in that respect. Not too bad, not the best, not the worst, about average. And in this point in the video, we're going to take a right onto this main road. It's kind of like a state highway, 2-lane highway. We'll get it up to hopefully around 45-50 miles an hour, and you could listen to what this car sounds like at a little bit higher speeds. And you could hear it at moderate acceleration in comfort mode, and the dual mode exhaust on its quiet setting. You could barely hear this engine. And kind of traveling at this rate of speed, this suspension is really doing a nice job soaking up all the bumps, even though it's an AMG. I'm kind of shocked at how nicely this thing rides in its comfort setting. And even in comfort mode, the steering is super direct, and it's still got a nice weight to it, even though the steering kind of weightens itself up rather in the Sport Plus setting. So virtually no wind noise, very minimal tire noise too. just cruising on sort of a 2-lane highway. We're gonna make this next right here, and we'll drop it into the Sport Plus mode, and also put it into manual mode. I have it in 2nd gear, and we'll see what happens. This car is a beast. You know, there's very few cars that I get to drive at my age that that put you back in the seat like this, and this is definitely one of those cars. Alright, so good thing this Chevy Cobalt is turning off so that we can get a good feeling for the handling on this road. This is a really nice road to take these cars on to test them out. Lots of curvy turns here, a little bit of elevation change, and lots of bumps too. This bump coming up here is pretty nasty. So obviously it's in Sport Plus mode. It's not going to take the bumps all that well, but trust me, in comfort mode, you'd barely be able to feel that bumps there. Beautiful turning, just like zero body roll on this car. It's just effortless to throw around the corner. And there is quite a difference between comfort and Sport Plus mode, suspension wise. Upshifts are awesome in Sport Plus mode. I'm not touching the paddle shifters or anything. It's automatically upshifting for me. This car handles unbelievably for the size of the car. It's truly awesome. This part we're gonna switch back to comfort because the road gets pretty rutted and rough up here, and I'm gonna try to hit all the bumps that I can so that I can give you an accurate depiction of what this suspension is really like. Yeah, this is very impressive. I mean, you do hear it a little bit, but you really don't feel it. There's a lot of cars that I take on this road, and you feel these bumps, and you feel them hard. Not on this car. Really nice ratio to the steering rack too. You barely have to turn the wheel to get it to go where you want. And these seats too, wow, they do an amazing job keeping you in place around the corners. Alright, so now that that section of the road is over, we can pop it back into Sport Plus. It definitely holds the gears nicely for you in case you want to give it that extra punch. Have nice little crackles from the exhaust when you let off the gas. Pop it into manual mode and see how these paddle shifters work. So yeah, this is a pretty responsive transmission, even though it's a torque converter transmission. Usually you associate the dual clutch transmissions as being the fast ones, and this one's just as good as any dual clutch. And you get a nice little blow off too when you let off the gas. And we'll give it one more acceleration coming up this hill here. So, even though they say it's all-wheel drive, it still spins like crazy. Now this road is a little bit, I would say, on the sandy side. They haven't quite cleaned it up all that good yet. So it's a little bit slippery, but this car definitely does brake traction pretty easy. Alrighty, so what's my take on the E63S, having driven it and checking out all the features of it? What a car this thing is. This is really, as I said at the beginning of the drive, this is really, if you can't afford to own one, you just have to drive one some way or another. This is seriously quite the car. And I have a hard time picking out something that I don't like about this car, and I'm an Audi guy. I like Volkswagen Group products the best, and you know, usually when you get in other cars from being in Audis and Volkswagens, you're like, why does this car do that? Why would it do this? You know, this car, I've got zero complaints. More than enough power, plenty of power. I have a tough time thinking of someone that would say, oh, this is underpowered or anything like that. There's no way. It's over 600 horsepower. Anything in that power range is undoubtedly maybe overpowered, but this handles the power nicely. In comfort mode, you'd never know this car had 600 horsepower. But plenty of features, plenty of gadgets, lots of performance technology. I really like that. Plenty of customability in the front screen, and also with your infotainment use. I like that they give you 3 different ways to control the infotainment. But yeah, that's my take on the E63S. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I also hope you stay with us here at Tide Drives.